I'm too lazy to put on an actual suit, an actual black blazer with a white shirt and a black tie. I don't even think I have a black tie, but I got the sunglasses that aren't even fully black. Hey, I tried. Men in Black International is the fourth film in the Men in Black series, in which Agent H, played by Chris Hemsworth, and Agent M, played by Tessa Thompson, a newcomer to the Men in Black, have to track down a mole within the Men in Black organization. Now, I'm not crazy on the Men in Black films. I really like the first one. The second one I think is terrible, and the third one's eh. But the trailers for Men in Black International actually made it look good. It actually made it look like what the 2016 Ghostbusters should have been. And I'm afraid to report that I was disappointed by this movie. It's what 2016 Ghostbusters is. It's really unfunny. It feels like a cash grab. And I just walked out just going, I guess that exists now. There's definitely things that I like in this movie. For instance, Chris Hemsworth is really good in this movie. Chris Hemsworth's talent, I like to see what he does outside of the MCU when he's not playing Thor. And he's got all the talent in the world. Like Bad Times at the El Royale, definitely his best performance. Tessa Thompson is also really good. And the running joke that I had with a bunch of people was like, oh, hey, both Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson were in Thor Ragnarok. Is this technically like Thor 4? So it was interesting to see that dynamic again on screen. They both do a really good job, and we all know the chemistry that they have. I don't have to talk about their chemistry. They have great chemistry on screen together. They had great chemistry on screen in Thor Ragnarok. Don't really have to talk about it here. And I feel like the second half of this movie actually has a more focus than the first half. It feels a lot more interesting and intriguing than the first half of the movie. But this movie just has a lot of trip-ups. Like I said, it's not very funny. There's so many attempts at humor in this movie, and none of them land. And I was expecting to laugh a lot because when you really think about it, the first 3 Men in Black movies are sci-fi comedies. There's a lot of great comedy in those movies, and this one, it just didn't hit the way I expected it to. There's this little guy in the movie. He's this little creature. He has a few funny one-liners, but he's really annoying, honestly. And Chris Hemsworth's comedic talent that we've seen in the past few MCU movies, and the comedic talent that we know he has in real life, because he's actually a really funny guy in real life, it's not put to good use in this movie. He's got some really bad jokes. Tessa Thompson's got some really bad jokes. It's just nothing in the humor department meshed well together. Also, the CGI is atrociously incredible. Like, this felt like the first Men in Black movie. I think that came out in like 1999 or something, 98, 97, I don't know. I know it was the late 90s. Honestly, the CGI felt like something that belonged in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I did not really like that with this movie. It was distracting. I get it's a Men in Black movie, but to honestly watch a movie in 2019 with CGI as terrible as this, making it feel like it's a movie that should have been released in the late 90s or the early 2000s, that's a bad sign. That is not good at all. There's also some weird stylistic editing choices, like slow, fast mo at a couple points. There's one split second that's like sped up, and then scenes just cut away, like feeling like they're incomplete. I'm like, is there going to be an extended cut on Blu-ray? It just feels like a hollow movie. It feels like scenes just are incomplete. It bounces around so much that you feel like you don't have closure with any of these scenes, with any of these situations, with any of these characters. Speaking of the characters, Tessa Thompson's character. I get it, it's Men in Black. We're not here for the characters, honestly. I mean, the characters have always kind of been a weak point in the Men in Black series. But, I mean, I expected more from Tessa Thompson's character, like more training and more of like learning what the Men in Black are, instead of having her just be like, oh, yep, So here's this, and I'm just gonna jump right into it. That really didn't make any sense to me. And Liam Neeson's character arc, man, that was so predictable. Guessed it right from the opening scene. I was like, yep, this is definitely going to happen. Totally happened, and then it's just completely stupid what happens with him. And then there's something else in the movie involving Tessa Thompson. She has, like, something when she's little, and then she recognizes something when she's part of the Men in Black. I knew that something was gonna come back into play eventually. I just didn't know how. And the way it was done was dumb. I cannot believe that this is like the 4th or 5th movie that I've reviewed in the past few weeks, past month maybe, that has had dumb aspects to it. Detective Pikachu, dumb aspects to it. Aladdin had something really dumb in it. Godzilla, dumb stuff in it. Men in Black International, lots of dumb stuff in here. I'm completely dumbfounded as to why people think this is a good idea. Like, why the writers just try to force these ideas into these movies. And it's so weird to me. This movie just reminds me of the 2016 Ghostbusters. It feels like something that's just thrown out there that didn't have to be out there just to grab your money. It's a quick cash grab. The writers of this movie, sadly, feel like the writers of the Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol movie, the 4th Mission Impossible movie, because those writers wrote a really good movie with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. And then they wrote 2 really, really, really terrible movies with the 2 Ninja Turtles movies. These guys are the writers of Iron Man, the first one. And then they wrote that piece of shit that I don't ever want to talk about ever again. And now they write this. It's really, I don't know what happened. Like, how do you go from writing such a good movie to writing a piece of shit and then just something that feels like a quick cash grab? I really don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of this movie. Even though the second half of this movie was a bit more interesting, it started to pick up a little bit more. By the time it started to pick up a little bit more and gain a little bit more focus than the first half kind of left me a little disinterested. So I just didn't really end up caring all that much. I'm going to give Men in Black International a C. Sadly, very disappointing, a very, very quick cash grab. And that's not good. Robbing your money like that is very similar to the 2016 Ghostbusters, unfortunately. That's how I felt. Thank you for watching my review of Men in Black International. I know that a lot of people are probably going to like this movie. I don't know how it's going to do with critics, but that's how I felt. I just wasn't a fan. I will leave all my links to my social media accounts in the description below. You guys are the best. Stay tuned for more reviews very soon. My name is Alex, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.